webinar series and all. IHMA Kerala State has conducted a series of webinars, both season 1 and season 2, consisting of more than 110 sessions. And we have 6 more sessions coming up. And I sincerely hope that everyone will participate and make it a success. These webinar series were aimed at increasing the knowledge of each homeopath, equipping us to fight the pandemic when the time comes. And now, some words about our doctor, who's our speaker today, Dr. Shelly Satish Sharma. I'm glad to welcome you, Dr. Shelly Satish Sharma, as a faculty today. She will be taking classes on pediatric materia medica and rubrics. A few words about our speaker. Dr. Shelly Satish Sharma is PhD scholar from Janardhan Rai Nagar University and has diploma and PG from IACH Greece. She had published several papers on efficacy of homeopathy on different and difficult cases like rheumatoid arthritis, PCOS, and acute rectal bleeding, etc. in different journals. She has to her fame various poster presentations also nationally and internationally. Dr. Shelly has conducted several talks and scientific presentations nationally and internationally in medical colleges, IHMA, Germany, LIG International, Italy. She is practicing as a classical homeopath since 9 years at Vasai and Gurgaon, Mumbai, working as assistant professor at Vidar Homeo Medical College also. She has been presented with various honorary awards also, like Female Doctor Excellence work at Vasai. It is a great privilege to have you, ma'am. On behalf of IHMA, I welcome you. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you. Namaste. I'm Dr. Shelly. And can everyone hear me? Dr. Deepu, am I audible?
Yeah, it's very audible.
Okay. So, hi everyone. I'm again very happy to be coming once again to this family and share some knowledge about pediatrics. So not wasting a single minute, I'll start with my today's seminar or presentation. So, okay. So today I will be talking more on materia medica, more on repertory, and I'll be sharing a case because we just have 1 hour. Time is very limited, but I want to give you a very good idea. I want to share a very good idea about how to.
Shelly ma'am, before you can complete the session. We can no problem. We can spare half an hour more. Okay.
Okay.
Actually, I might say mistake by my part actually.
Okay. No problem. That's okay. So see, pediatrics is one of the most favorite field for me specifically, is because when I treat a pediatric case, I know one thing is, by treating this child with classical homeopathy, I'm going to make his future. I may prevent many diseases which he may encounter in his future. I can help him to become a more balanced individual at the level of mental, emotional, physical, and psychological level. Because when we give homeopathic on individualistic basis, we help a very good development of the child. And homeopathy indeed has been very, very, very effective in pediatric, be it anyone. In my last pediatric workshop also, I've shown very good cases which were very acute leukocytosis, where WBC counts were up to 23,000, 24,000, and how beautifully within 2 to 3 days, the count started dropping down with a single dose of the particular medicines. I've shown some cases of acute knee inflammation with a lot of pain, and how a single dose of a particular remedy helped the child reverse the process of autoimmune conditions. So, we have to be very good with pediatrics. And trust me, people say it is very difficult to treat pediatrics, but pediatrics is one of the most easiest way to treat, because once we understand the process, we can do miracles. So before I start, I always thank Dr. Samuel Hahnemann for this homeopathy, for this wonderful science, because I can tell one thing is, many cases which are incurable, many cases which seems to be hopeless, leave about patients, but in our families, we have been seeing some cases which are hopeless, which are incurable. With homeopathy, we got hope and we could reverse those cases just because of Samuel Hahnemann, one man who stood for the right. And next two people of my life who are very important are my teachers, Dr. B.S. Bhosle sir and Dr. Professor Vittalka sir, who taught me the correct path to practice classical homeopathy. So now, as we know, we are going to talk about pediatrics. Now, to treat pediatrics, the most important thing is to get information from the child. So when we treat pediatrics, we have cases from day one, child is day one, till he is around 17, 18 years of age. You have such a wide spectrum of cases. But the difficulty arises is, how do I approach them, right? Like if a child comes with tonsillitis, what do I do? Okay, should I give right now belladonna or Baratta, because Baratta and belladonna has tonsils? Or how do I get this history? How do I give the prescription? That is a very big question mark. So there are some approaches, there are some way how you can get deep into the cases. You can extract the symptoms, you can extract the rubrics and prescribe in a most beautiful way. One of them is observation. So in my practice, what I've seen is pediatrics cases work beautifully with observation. You have to be a very good observer when you see a pediatric child. Right from the moment the child enters your cabin, what is his approach when he enters your cabin? Does he come to you immediately or he takes time to come to you, right? Or when a child gets into your cabin, he will just start touching everything in your cabin, like your laptop, your books, your stethoscope, or the child is very diligent and sitting nicely, right? Like for example, a lachesis child. When a lachesis child enters to your clinic, what is lachesis? Lachesis is a snake, right? Now, how is a snake? Whenever snake comes out of his home, right? So he will come out very gradually. He will observe everything around. Like he will have a very good observation. Is there any danger? Am I safe? And then gradually he will take a speed and go ahead. So also whenever an Ophidia comes to your clinic, the child when he enters, he will never directly look at you. He will just take an idea in the cabin. How is everything? How is the environment? Is there anyone who is more dangerous? Is there anyone who can attack me? And then once he feels doctor is comfortable, everything is comfortable, then the Ophidia child starts showing his tantrums or he starts being restless. He will never be restless at the first incidence. And on the other side, tarantula child, whenever he enters your clinic, at the waiting room, he starts getting restless. He will touch everything because they are very restless and they are very destructive. So in restlessness also, when you see, you have to see what is the content in the restlessness. Is a restlessness of a child more intellectual? Is the restlessness more destructive? Is the restless more curious? Like for example, if it's a sulfur child, he will enter your clinic. Now who is sulfur? Sulfur is one of the most intellectual babies in a homeopathic materia medica. They are full of questions. Whenever you have a sulfur patient coming to you, just ask the mother, like what the child talks to you about. So the mother will tell, my child asks me everything, whatever he sees. Like suppose I leave my home, I get into the lift, he will ask, Mama, why the lift is going down? Why the lift is not braking? He will go and sit in the car. Mama, why the car we have to start like this? Why the car is moving ahead? Mama, where is the planet? Where is the star? Which is the small?
Ma'am,
Yeah.
actually, your headset is moving. I think some sounds are coming. I think I feel so.
Acha, I think so. Yeah. Hold on. 1 second.
Tuck, 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 tuck.
Now it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. But I thought only me getting that sound.
No,
But
no,
I
no.
think
It
everybody is
must be
getting.
because of my beats. Fine. So
Okay.
the sulfur child will ask you a lot of questions, he'll ask a mother a lot of questions about everything. He wants to know everything under the sun. So even when the sulfur child grows, the mother will ask, my child can talk on all the topics. He knows every topic. This is sulfur, right? And so, I'll keep on talking about it in future ahead, but this is observation. Observation is what? Observation is to perceive what the person is doing, try to understand exactly what that person is doing. You have to go into that person's shoe and understand his acts. You don't have to be prejudiced ki ha, he is restless because he's destructive, or he is quiet because he's shy. No, tarantulas seems to be shy, they are quiet, but they are planning. They will, they have a lot of mischief inside, and the moment you turn around, they will do some mischief. I remember one tarantula child, whenever he comes to my clinic, he's just sitting calmly. He will not do anything. The moment I get up and check his mother's, check his mother's blood pressure on my examination table, he will take something from my table and he will drop it and he will then sit quietly. This is the mischievousness of tarantula. They're very mischievous, but they're very hideous. They will not show the mischievous to you in front of you. This is tarantula group, right? So one thing, we have to understand the case through observation. Just try to observe every act of the child, every talk of the child, every move of the child. Next important thing is you get a proper history through mother's pregnancy history. Whatever mother goes in her pregnancy period, whatever emotional up and down she goes in the pregnancy period, whatever stress, trauma, happiness, whatever that has impact on the development of the child. You have to get to know that whenever you're treating child. Whenever the mother is lactating and the child is falling sick, try to understand what is the mother's feeling. I'll give an example of mother's pregnancy history. There was a child who came with diarrhea. She had diarrhea since, I can say, 10, 15, 20 days, and it was not getting better. They took allopathic medicine, it was not helping the child. So she came with the child. Doctor, my child is not getting better. We took allopathic. So can you help with homeopathy? I said, yeah, of course we'll help. What is the age? The child was just 4 months old and he was lactating. So I took the case. I asked, what is the color of the stool? You have to take little bit history about the stools. So the stools were olive green. They're very green. They were like olives. Very smelly. The child was passing a lot of flatters. But I asked the mother, what are you going through? Because she was lactating, she was breastfeeding the child. So whatever the mother has in her mind, whatever thoughts, whatever emotions have impact on the child. So her mother said, she started weeping. I said, what happened? Tell me. So she said, my sister-in-law, we have a lot of clashes. What exactly? I asked her. Because she tries to dominate me at every incident, her sister-in-law is basically very haughty. She's very egoistic woman. She's a very dominating woman. And the patient herself was little, egoistic. But since her delivery, she has become very mild. This patient's mother, she's become very, yielding, and she's not able to give any back answer to her sister-in-law. She's become withdraw, and she's telling, whatever I do, my sister-in-law will just point mistakes. She will order me things. You do this, you stand up, why are you feeding like this? You do not have to feed like this. She asked me, she's torturing me with, like, you're not washing utensils, I'm doing all the work, I'm taking care of all the house, what, you have just given a birth to a child. But these things are troubling me, right? So there's a rubric which I observed, like, was ailments from pride of others. So she was suffering that. So her talk said that because of the haughtiness of her sister-in-law, which this patient's mother couldn't tolerate, so the rubric which comes in repertory is ailments from pride of others. Because of someone else's pride, someone else's haughtiness, the patient starts suffering. You have just one medicine in your materia medica, which is gratiola. And gratiola dose I gave to the mother because she's a breastfeeding, so I don't need to give to the child. And the child gradually, eventually in 3-4 days was much better. So again, mother's pregnancy history, mother's mentals play a great role in your prescription. As the child grows, you have to take information from the parents, from both the parents. what is the nature of the child, how the child behaves. Because many times child in front of you must be very calm and composed, but at home they're totally opposite, right? So we get some information from them, trying to get into the cause of the child suffering, So the children are very fresh, they're like fresh grown vegetables. If child falls sick, there has to be a major cause behind that. There has to be a major psychological cause, there has to be a major emotional cause. You have to try to get into that cause. Last time I spoke about that case, like there was a case of a woman, there was a case of a child who was 6 years old, and she was repeatedly falling sick. She was getting fever daily, and she was diagnosed as pyrexia of unknown origin, and she was not getting better. She was getting admitted to hospital every month. They were just treating her with antipyretics because they said there's no cause for your fever. So when the case came to me, and I started taking a history, I just said, what happened just before the fever? So the parents were like, nothing, everything was okay. But see, there has to be a cause. Now, yeah, the child is normal. Suddenly the child gets fever. There's no cause for the fever. It means there's a deeper psychodynamic cause for the fever, which you have to dig into the case. So I asked them directly, like whether you both had fights, like both parents had fights. So they were like, no, everything is okay. And the child started weeping, and she said they both were getting divorced. So, and see, so the parents, they were shocked. They thought what the child must be doing, but we do not know that these little children are like sponge. They just absorb everything, whatever they get through in their life, and they just absorb, and they just try to follow that path. So the child had pyrexia of unknown origin. Cause was fights between the parents. The child was a very mild, very cute, loving, very delicate child. She was even bold enough. So I gave her the remedy magnesium mure, which helped the child eventually. Also, when you're taking the case in pediatric, you have to be little friendly. We cannot be like a regular doctor, like, ha, said, what is your problem? Anything, fever, just check the child's chest. Now you go. No, you have to make the child comfortable. You have to be friendly. You have to get to know what is going into the child's mind. You should be so friendly with your children, pediatric children, that they should feel like they are meeting a friend. And this actually happens in my clinic, and that helps me a lot. The children just say, I want to go to Dr. Shelly. So you have to be so friendly with the children. Just make them comfortable. Okay, so we all know case taking according to Hahnemann. I spoke about it. Like, we have to individualize every case, whatever comes in your path, be it any case, be it cold, cough, throat, diabetes, juvenile diabetes, be it thyroid issue in a children, anything. You have to individualize every case, be it fever, be it running nose. You have to try to reach the root cause of the disease. You have to take the exact symptomatology, which are very important. That's again a very deep topic, how we have to select, analyze, and evaluate such cases, and we have to prescribe. The only way is observation is one of the most important way. Second way is you have to be free from prejudice, and you have to be unprejudiced observer in that senses, and you have to keep all your senses open. You have to be open in front of a child. Be ready to smell his discharges, whatever you're getting. Get to know what odor the child has. Just try to listen to the child's voice. What is the voice? Some children have very shrieking voice. So you have remedies like chamomilla. When they speak, their voice is very penetrating and very shrieking. When a pulsatilla speaks, her voice is so delicate that you have to tell, yes, tell me once again, this is how you have to talk to a pulsatilla child. She's so delicate. She will not even try to talk loudly. Or whenever you listen from a silica, he will be sitting very erect, very diligently, very well combed hair, and he will talk in a very low tone, because he is very image conscious. He is very conscious how I put forth myself. Right? So you have to understand this. You have to even understand how the child talks to you, how respectfully the child is talking. Like remedy, like Merck salt, they will not show much respect. They will just talk bindas. They may be rash in their words. They may be rude in their words. And I've seen such cases, such children, you know, the way they sit. So you have to be ready to absorb everything, whatever the child throws in your cabin. As I said, once you finish with the case, observe, start observing the children. Okay, so we know the definition of health. Health is not just absence of disease, but it is also a state of balance between mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual plane. And this is what we have to aim at. Okay, so the health of the child. Now, many times you get a question, how do we understand the health of the child? From what age, what food, what age will determine the health of the child? So remember one thing, the moment there's a conception, that moment itself will determine the health of the child. The thought process of mother and thought process of father, the thought process of both people will determine the health of the child, followed by the thought process of mother when the child is in the womb. So you have to take in detail about everything in the cases. Okay, so as you know, every child, like as I say, we many times neglect children. We feel a child has no demands, but you know, every child has some basic demands. Some children need respect, children need importance, children need to be included, children need to be accepted, and children need to feel secured. These are some of the most basic need of every child, up and down. Like for example, if he's a sulfur child, he will not need more of security, but he'll need more of importance and respect. If it is a magnesium child, he will not need more of importance, but he will need more to be accepted, because they do not feel they are accepted in a family, in a group. If it's a natrum child, they will not need more of security, but they will need more to be included in a group. They need more to be included in a family, right? Calcaria will need respect, but they will need more of security. They do not need to be accepted. They need a security. You consider me or not, but you give me security. This is what a Calcaria child will ask for. And according to this, every child has some weaknesses. Every child has some demands. And when the environment fails to give that, the family fails to give that, the friend circle fails to give that, the child starts falling sick. Okay, so we have to understand all the basic need of every child and try to probe in every case which aspect of the child was missing. Like I'll give an example. There are two kind of personalities, personality A and personality B. Both personalities had a huge financial losses. Like, you know, they became from rich, they came to rags. They had a huge business loss, for example. But of the two, only one patient, because of financial loss, will go into very bad depression. But the other person will say, it's okay, I have money loss, I'll earn it back. I don't mind. Who will say, it's okay, I will earn it, for whom money is not very important, maybe emotions are more important. And this person for whom money was security, money was everything, he must be an arsenic or a Sorinum patient. He has fallen sick, he has got into the bed, right? So we have to understand what is the need of every individual. And according to that need, if that person doesn't get that thing in his life, they start falling sick. So we say one man's meat is other man's poison. It's the same way we have to understand. So we all know our human body is made up of mind, emotions, and body. We are not just body, na? We are something more deeper than body, which are emotions, which are more deeper, which is mind. In mind, we have intellectual part, which is will, intellect, understanding. And to be healthy, we just do not have to be good at the level of body. We have to be very good at level of emotions. We have to be very, very good at the level of mind and intellectual. Now, intellectual doesn't mean you are very intelligent. That doesn't come in intellectual. Intellectual is a balance between negative and positive, a balance between emotions and mind, a balance. Whenever a person is more balanced, towards balance, more conscientious, he is more balanced at intellectual level. Who has a sense of right and wrong, very strong. Whenever a person is more compassionate, love, who has a lot of love, these people are very healthy at emotional level, right? And the people who are physically healthy, physiologically healthy, they are more healthy at body level. So homeopathy, we try to keep a balance between all these three levels, and we just have to see where the balance have lost, right? Like for Aurum Metallicum, his intellect, his will is destroyed due to any trauma, which can be a physical trauma, emotional trauma, mental trauma, and he loses his desire to live. His intellect is affected. That is why he gets the suicidal thoughts. Not every remedy will get suicidal thoughts, right? Depending upon which remedy has weaknesses at which faculty, that will, you know, uh, probe the reactions of an individual. Observation I spoke about. So we know observation, we know that it's very important to have a very good observation, because with proper observations, we will help to get good rubrics in our cases, will help to differentiate the remedies. Like for example, you have a repertory chart, you have 5 to 6 remedies. Just go behind, check the observations you have made, and just try to apply that observation in the final selection of remedy and differentiate the remedy. That will help you to reach to the similar one. And obviously, observation helps to get a good miasmatic understanding of the case. Now, some examples of observation for children are, many times children come to your clinic. Some children are very timid. They will not talk immediately. They will take a lot of time to talk. Yeah.
Can you make it full screen, ma'am?
I want full screen. 1 second. Can you see now?
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Welcome. 1 second. So some children are very timid. Some people are very bold. So these are observations. Whenever a child enters, just see. You don't have to ask a family, like, is your child timid? Is your child bold? You just talk to the child. The way the child talks to you, the way the child looks at you, right? You can get the rubric timid, bold, courageous. Like for example, just talk to the child, and when you ask the child, what's your name? The child is just looking down and replying, yeah, my name is XYZ. He's a timid child, no? Or if he will look at the mother and he will tell, my name is XYZ. He's a timid child. Or he will not tell what is his name. He will just keep on looking down. He's shy. He's a timid child. Or he'll go behind his mother and he'll just try to hide. It's a timid child. So you get rubrics when you start talking to the child. Or the child is bold. Like the moment he enters, hello, you just say hello to the child. He's like, hello doctor, how are you? I'm good. He will come near you, he'll talk to you. You just ask him to come near to your chair. The child will come without any hesitation near your chair. Think he's a bold child. He's a courageous child. So you need a remedy which is more courageous, which is more bold. Right? Some children are initially timid, like tarantulas, like lachesis. They are initially timid and then they become bold. So these are other set of remedies. Some children are timid from the beginning till the end. Like you have silicas, you have calcareas, you have pulsatilas, you have paratas. They are very timid children. Some people are very bold, like you have florix, you have sulfur. The moment you look at sulfur, the sulfur will have a very good eye contact. Many pediatric children who are 2-3 months old, you just look at the child. You look at the eye contact they make. If they make a very confident eye contact with you, think of remedies like They have a very bold eye contact. They have a very good smile when they're giving you an eye contact. Just an infant, just a small child of 5-6 months. Think of remedies like sulfur, chocolate. You have bromium. You know, these remedies, opium. They're very bold. They're very courageous. They are very confident children. Some children are very lovable. When they come to your clinic, you feel like to cuddle them. They're very cute looking. They'll dress up very nicely. They'll talk to you in a very gracious way. Hello, doctor. How are you? I'm good. Doctor is so nice. They'll talk so lovably. When you look at them, they are so well dressed. Their hairband is matching with their earrings. Their earrings are matching with their dress. Their dress is matching with their shoe. Right? So you have remedies like chocolate, Delcamera, palladium, okay, calcarea phosphorus, magnesium phos. They are very lovable children. Some children are very responsible, some children are not. So again, the sense of responsibility also helps us to differentiate many remedies. Like for example, natrums, carcinogens, they're very responsible children. You know, their parents will always tell you that my child is so responsible. I can just leave my little child with my eldest daughter. She'll take care of the child as a mother. Think of remedy like natrum for that. Not every person can take a responsibility. Think of carcinosin. Tarantulas can never take a responsibility. Lachesis will take, but he will not take as a responsibility. He will take as a leadership. He will take as a possessiveness, but not as a responsibility. But some people who take it as a responsibility, you have to differentiate the remedies. Then you have introvert and extrovert remedies. Some children are very introvert. The mother will say, my child doesn't share anything. He'll just come and talk to me. He'll not talk to anyone in the house. He will not talk to his papa also. He will not talk to any sister. He'll come to me. He'll talk everything. Mama, this happened today. This happened. This happened. This happened. He doesn't have much friends. Think of introvert as a rubric. Or if the mother will tell, my child is very bindas, he is very extrovert, he will come home and he'll get 10 friends with him and will ask, Mama, cook for everyone. Or for example, I remember a child, she's so extrovert, that her mother said, my neighbor came, she was very happy. Are you came, it's night, 9 o'clock, come to my home, my mother has cooked food, you come eat, come at my home and eat. Get your elder sister also. And she started inviting everyone at her home. She's so extrovert, she wants people. Not every child will be so approaching. Some children are very dominating, like lycopodiums, like lachesis. They're very dominating. Delcamera, platinum. Now, how they're dominating is the remedy. So how you'll find domination in the children? You just ask, how is she in group? How is she with her sibling? Does she want her sibling to listen to her tantrums, or she listen to her siblings? Whenever she is in her group, school, she wants to be a leader or she wants to be behind. So if the mother says, my daughter, she always wants to be the leader in her group. She cannot tolerate being just an audience. Whenever she goes, she wants to lead the things. She wants things according to her wish. Or whenever she is with her elder sister or younger sister, she wants everyone to obey what she says. Think of domination. Again, we have mild, the way the child talks. He's talking very respectfully, very gracefully. Think of rubric mild. Whenever she's talking, mildness and yielding. Mildness is a way a person talks which shows a lot of elegance, which shows there's no force in which they're talking, like Pulsatilla. Whenever Pulsatilla will talk, her talks will not show force, but they will just show a communication where she's trying to relay what she wants to say, but in a very soft way. Like for example, Pulsatilla will say, like, doctor, do you want me to do this? If you will say, I'll do that. So soft, And if it is a Nux vomica, how he will ask, doctor, do you want me to tell? Do you want me to do this investigation? Tell me, I'll do that. Otherwise, don't waste my time. This is how Nux vomica. You don't see mildness, you see rashness. A platinum, whenever platinum will talk, they'll talk with a lot of attitude. Like, doctor, You will say to do, I will do, but I will do in best of the clinics. I will not get my investigation done in any Tom, Nick, Jerry's clinic. I want to do in Vasai's best clinic. The way the patient talks, you have to take the rubric like mild, oily. Let us go a little bit to materia medica. I'll talk about the child graphitis. So this child or this mind of graphitis I've encountered a few years before. I had a case where the child had vitiligo. And the mother said that my child is a very strange child. I said, like, why? But he is very disobedient. He doesn't listen to anyone. Okay, and he never listens to anyone. He never does things properly on time. He doesn't like to go to school. He has to be pushed to go to school. Right? He never does his homework on time. He has to be pushed to do homework. Whenever he comes back from school, he's very tired. He is not interested in anything. Okay, so, and whenever he does any mistake, and if we shout at him over his mistakes, then he starts laughing. And that's very strange, no? Like if you shout at someone and he starts laughing, it's strange. So I gave him Tarantula, it didn't work. I gave him Merck, it didn't work, because these are all symbols of non-conscientiousness, non-responsibility, right? Then I gave him 2 to 3 remedies, it didn't work. Then one day I was going through my Burek and I just read a line. And that line of the child's mind exactly, covered my case. And I gave the remedy graphitis. So that thing opened so many graphitis cases for me. So I would like to share about graphitis child, how it is. So graphitis child, when you look at, he will be very similar to calcaria child. They are fat, they are chilly, they are always constipated, they are very slow. Now, why graphitis is slow, constipated is because they are carbons. So what are carbons? Carbons, whatever carbon it is, carbo-veg, carbo-animals, graphitis, petroleum, granatum, carbons are very slow. If you want to understand carbon, if you want to enter a carbon, just understand one thing. These children have to be pushed to do activities because they get tired. Carbons are very tired people, थके हुए रहते हैं. They are always, I don't know, you remember that ad, Hamdard ka Sankara karke, and he flies off and he has that energy drink. So they are always tired people. You look at carbons. The mother will tell, my child, he cannot read more than 2 pages in a day. He gets tired. His mind gets tired. The mother will say, my child cannot do any extracurricular activities. He is never an outdoor playing person. He will just sit at home, sit on the sofa. He was okay playing with games because they are very intelligent people. Carbons are very intellectual people. But physically, they cannot do any activities. They cannot take responsibility because they do not have that energy to fulfill the responsibility. They are very slow people and they are constipated. They have tendency towards skin affection. And carbons, graphitis has a very strong symptom. They are very impudent. They are the children who always tease others. They sit on the sofa. They don't have the capacity to get up, walk or run, but they will tease people around them. They will use their brains. They are very sarcastic people. If a graphitis or a carbon has to relay something, they will not tell directly. They will tell indirectly in a sarcastic tone. And their tone is very pinching. So you have that laugh at reprimands. These children do not show much respect. You do not see that sense of respect in these children. They'll talk disrespectfully with their parents. They can talk disrespectfully with you. They can talk disrespectfully with their siblings, with their group. And there has to be a tint of sarcasm in their talks and timidity. They have history of suppressing skin infections. So whenever you see this one picture, see, I am not telling this is the only picture of graphitis. There are so many pictures of graphitis, you can prescribe upon. But today I'm just trying to give you tidbits of everything, because a Mathematica is so wide, but this is tidbits. So, this is graphitis child. So when a child comes with a lot of skin eruptions which are suppressed, non-respecting, do not show respect, no reverence, laughs at reprimands, very chilly, very constipated, very sarcastic, very slow. Think of graphitis. These children do not like change. They have a routine, they know I have to get up in the morning, afternoon, evening, I have to go to school, and this is my routine. But if there is an extra activity in that routine, they cannot tolerate that. They have aversion to change. They are very irritable and always tired. They always look frustrated, as if they are carrying so much of burden on their shoulders, like Barata carp, Calcaria fos, Carbo vegetabilis, Kali salicata, and Zinca. Very timid, very rude people. A very strong symptom I've seen in, and it is in our repertory also. The girls during puberty have pedunculous abdomen. They have a very big abdomen, specifically during puberty. That's again because they are very slow, they have been very prostrated, so they are not into any physical activity, which decreases their BMI, which causes the accumulation of fats onto the abdomen, like Calcaria, lactoses, and sulfur. I'll talk about the remedy, Rustox now. So whenever you have a child coming to your clinic, mother says the child is very jovial. He never has any grudges with anyone. He is very very mischievous child, but he cannot hurt anyone. Very playful. He just want to play all the day. He wants to be busy. He wants to play. Mama, I'm going to play football. I'm going to play badminton. They do not like to play at home. They like to have physical activities. They are very good at sports. They have a very good speed. They are very jovial, happy-go-lucky children. But they are very anxious children. Whenever they have exams, whenever they are sick, they become very anxious and very nervous. Think of remedy Rustox. So Rustox is what? Rustox is a remedy where you have better by motion. Means these people want activity. This patient want motion. They are very good. Whenever they are sick, if they are active, they will feel better. The mother will say, whenever my child is sick, he is active, he's playing, he feels better. So, whenever most of the cases I've seen, whenever the child is having fever, but he is active, he is not dull, he is smiling, he is a little anxious, he is nervous, he is walking, he is better by warmth. Think of Rustox as a remedy. Don't miss this remedy. There's a lot to speak. I have a lot of more with me. So, usually what we miss in pediatric prescription is we give a lot of specifics. We don't try to get into the root of the child. We don't try to get into the mind of the child, and we end up giving very superficial prescriptions like belladonna, calcalifos for fever, Baretta for throat affections, or adenoids ke liye we give tuberculinum. Don't go for more specifics, okay? And do not bypass your observation, and try to feel essence of every child. Whenever you have any child, any patient coming to you, just feel that patient. When you start feeling your patient, and whenever you're reading a materia medica, start feeling your materia medica. Try to feel every remedy. Try to feel how pulsatilla is. Try to feel how graphitis is. Try to feel how ammonium urine is. When you start feeling your remedies and you start feeling your patients, you'll become a very good prescriber. And when we have that approach, trust me, we can treat most of the pediatric cases without single antibiotic. We don't have to give them. And for that, we have to develop a very good art of observation. We have to start thinking like a child. Whenever you have a child in your cabin, be a child. Think like a child. Give attention to the child. Give him the full attention. Many times, whenever a child comes with the mother, We just keep on asking questions to the mother. Ask child questions. Give him attention. Make him feel like an adult. Give him the liberty to give answers. Like if your mother says, yeah, he loves chocolates, confirm, do you like chocolate? Confirm with the child. So he'll gain that confidence in you. Try to understand his imaginations, because his imagination speaks a lot. Try to understand his creations, his creativity. And whenever the child falls sick, try to understand what made him sick. Do not underestimate the thoughts of the children. They are like us, they are more powerful than us, but the only thing is we underestimate them. Okay? Because mind is one of the most important driving force in our body. We fall sick most of the time is because of our unhealthy thought process. And trust me, our mind can manipulate our genes. Dr. Bruce Lipton, read his article on Google Scholar. He made a groundbreaking research on how our minds can change the behavior of our genes. He did that experiment on some cells. He took, I'll just give you a small example. He took 3 dishes, petri dishes. In one dish, he kept stem cell 1, stem cell 2, stem cell 3. All these 3 cells were the similar stem cells. But on all the 3 petri dishes, he had kept a slight different environment. And to his surprise, one cell became muscle, other cell became bone, third cell became fat. And then he realized that the environment, our thought process, can influence our cells. It can influence what direction our body is going towards health or disease. So, it's in our hands how we take it. We know the basic fundamentals of homeopathy. I don't need to tell that. Okay, so I'll talk about the remedy, magnesium now. So magnesium, one thing when we think about magnesium, we have one thought. Orphans, right? We always think that magnesium remedy is useful for orphan children. But this is not the thing. We have to understand what Ken needed to say about giving in orphan children. Magnesium remedy is not given to an orphan child. It is suitable to any person who has a feeling of being an orphan. It can be any person. It can be you, it can be me, it can be any child who has both the parents. When the child has that feeling that he is not getting that love, what does an orphan doesn't have? Orphan doesn't have love. Orphan children doesn't have security. Orphan children doesn't have affection. They are not recognized. They don't even know their surname, and they're not accepted socially. So whenever you feel a child doesn't get these things, love, security, affection, recognition, and acceptance, they gradually grow into magnesium personalities, because magnesium personality needs everything. They need everything. They need to be accepted like a natron. They need to be respected like a sulfur. They need affection like phosphorus. They need recognition like a lycopodium. They need everything. That is why these children, when they do not get this thing, they feel they are rejected. Okay, but the other part of it is they will never demand it. These children, magnesium, will never say, I want love, I want security, I want affection. They will never demand. But gradually, these children will become more introvert. They'll become more anxious and they'll become more nervous. Gradually, they will suppress, and then they will repress his emotions. Now, there's a difference between suppression and repression. Suppression is when I want a particular thing, I'm not getting it, and I'm suppressing my desire. Okay, but repression is more deeper than suppression, where the person doesn't know what he wants, but he wants something. So if he doesn't know what he wants, what happens is he just suppresses all his desire into a deep subconscious mind. And then he keeps on feeling very anxious all the time and nervous because he doesn't know, you know, why he's anxious, what he wants, because he wants everything. He wants love also, security also, affection also. So I spoke to you about the case of magnesium mure. Remember in the begin, I spoke that the girl started weeping, my parents were getting separated. Now when the parents were getting separated, she had a feeling of losing the love, losing the security of a house, losing affection. She felt, should I go to my father or mother? That created a lot of chaos in this girl, and she started falling sick, right? So these children, as they grow, you will observe one more thing is they do not like fights. They hate aggression. This is one of the most important aspect of magnesium. Just ask them, what is your reaction whenever there is a fight? They will tell, first of all, I do not like fight. My reaction to the fight is I will try to pacify the fight. I will try to make things better. They are always at the sacrificing ends, magnesiums. Again, we have a lot of differentiation between magnesium carb, mure, so that's a very different topic ahead, but it's a very drawn view of magnesium. So magnesium children, mostly from a distance, they may seem very shy. They may seem as if they are not interested in things. They are very weak in study. Okay, these things happen when they do not get love, affection, security. But if they have a very good thing, they will develop a healthy child. You don't need to give them any medicine. But if they don't get, they become shy, not interested, they start repressing, and they start getting a feeling of forsaken. Okay, I'll share with you a case now. It says I'm not going to share much cases, but this is a very interesting case I would like to share. It is a case of a disruptive behavior disorder. So this girl, she is suffering from a disorder which is disruptive behavior disorder. So in this disorder, what happens is, uh, a child gets very aggressive, specifically physically aggressive. They start throwing tantrums. They become very argumentative. They start speaking lies. They start stealing things all of a sudden. So this is a child of a 10-year-old girl where she developed this thing. She was a 10-year girl. She bought with the following complaints. So her mother said that my child is very aggressive. She fights with her friends. Every 2 to 3 days, she has a physical fight. Whatever she fights with is mostly boys. She fights with boys a lot, to an extent that she will, tear their clothes, throw away their bags. She'll hit them very badly. She had been taken to principal many times. She had counseling. She had been to a psychiatrist, but the things were getting worse. The mother said that, in our building also, many parents come every day. They come and complain to my daughter, like, your child is very bad, she's fighting with everyone, she's very abusive, she's very loud. And eventually what has happened is she became very lonely because repeated fights, repeated tantrums, aggression. No parents wanted their children to play with her, and she was left with no friends. And her situation was getting worse, 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 and worse. She gets angry when children tease her. That on inquiring, I asked her, why are you getting angry? You have to, this is what her mother said. My child is aggressive, she is angry, she has tantrums, no one wants to play with her. Now we have to know her angle. Why she's doing like this? She's such a this 10-year-old child. And all of a sudden, why? So she said, the child said, that she gets angry when children tease her that she's an orphan, so she doesn't have a father. Her father has died 1 year back. And whenever they tease me that I don't have a family, I don't have a father, I feel very sad, and then I get very angry. She said that she also feels that her mother does not give her enough time, because as she doesn't have a father, her mother has to go to work daily. Okay, because of that, her mother doesn't give her time much. So she feels sad again about that. So she lost her father. She's sad. Children are teasing her. It's making her more angry. She doesn't have a mother to talk about her problems. And then she said, then I asked her, why are you just hitting boys? So she says that she is little plump. She's a little fat, that girl. She's a little dark complexion. Very bad in India, but people tease who are little dusky complexion. I don't know. That's a very worst thing about India, racism. So the child said, like in the bus, they tease me that I'm fat, I'm dark skinned girl. So I get very angry and I start hitting them. I cannot tolerate that. Mother said that this girl at home, she is very quiet. She never fights. She will obey all my commands. I have no complaints about her. But when she is out in the school, in bus, or when she is playing down, she's very violent. So this thing is confusing her mother. Why such extreme nature? We'll come to know from her daughter again. She always says her mother that, Mom, I have no friends left. I'm all alone. She has a very deep feeling about that. I asked her, does your child have the same kind of nature since her childhood? To this, her mother replied that she was a totally different girl few years ago. After the death of her father, there's a sudden change in her nature. After the father's death, she has suddenly grown up. She thinks too much over little things, which girl of her age should not think about. She has become too mature. She keeps on worrying about her mother, that my mother is doing all alone. She's managing finances all alone. She is taking care of the house all alone. What will happen to me if my mother dies? Or what happens if my mother is no more? Who will, she's always worried about her mother. She has developed a lot of fears. Like if she makes any mistake, she tries to hide it. And she's scared that the mother will scold her or mother will hit her. She was developing a lot of fears regarding her mother. So she started to tell lie because she was scared that if mother comes to know about any of my mistakes, she will hit me. So that made her a little bit liar. There's an intense fear of mother. Her mother is very strict. Patient has a very sympathetic nature. She likes helping friends when they need her help. She also protects them if boys are troubling her friend. She likes in-depth studies and is a very curious child to learn new things, specifically scientific subjects about. Past history, no major history. Personal history, non-vegetarian, appetite is good, desire sour, chicken, fish. Aversion is no specific. Thirst is on lower side. Respiration scanty. Sleep is unfresh on abdomen. Dream, startle sometimes in sleep. Now, the observations which I made in the clinic were: she is a little obese child, dark complexion, short neck, staring look in eyes, very intellectual when she was answering the questions. Whenever I asked her any question, she was very quick in answering. Her answer was very quick and it was very precise. It was not a wandering answer. So that made me think she was a very alert child, she was a very confident child, and she had a very sharp voice. Her voice was very piercing. Thirst was on lower side. Sorry. Okay. So now, what is the analysis? So if you all are able to answer, I would like to get your feedbacks.
You can check the chat box.
Yeah.
Can someone, can I read it?
Yeah.
Okay. We have suggestions like intellectual, chamomilla, loss of loved ones, magnesium carb, suppression of emotions, natrum sir, ignatia, mark self, staphysagria, destructive, ignatia phosphoric acid, like that. Many suggestions are coming.
Okay.
Violent anger, calcareous self, mark self.
Smack, calcaria, okay. Or say.
Stuff, abused.
Very good. And many people have said stab, carcinosin, Maxwell, Staphysagra, magnesium. Okay. Natrum self, suppression of emotion, loss of loved ones, chamomilla, intellectual. After graphitis, how many dot picture are shown? Okay.
I think the screen share is got stuck actually.
Acha? I'll just check.
Can I just reconnect it?
I'll just do that. I'll just again screen share. Is it visible now?
Yes. No. Please do it.
Okay.
I think some network issue. Yeah, it is okay now. Okay.
So let us analyze. Now see. Now what is the case? So we need a child who is, now here when we have to solve the case, we have to see all the aspects, right? Right from what has happened to her, the cause, right? What is her basic nature, the cause, and what she has become. Okay, we would have thought of magnesium, but magnesium will never go into violence. Magnesium, as I said, is a Shanti Priya prana. Matlab, they don't like violence. They run away from violence. So we cannot think of magnesium here. We have to rule it out. We need a remedy which is very emotional, very precautious at the same time, very violent, and who is scared. She is everything. She is scared. She is very precautious. At this age, she is worrying what will happen to my mama. She doesn't eat at time. I have to take care. My dad is no more. She's being very precautious. She's very intellectual, very alert in her answering. And she's scared. Right? Let us analyze. Let us see the analysis. So this was the repertory chart. Okay. Ailments from death of loved ones, anxiety about future. Why anxiety? Because she's always worried. Now, what will happen about my mom? What will happen about us in future? At this age, she's talking like an adult. Ailments from abused after being, she was being teased, like you're fat, you're dark complex, etc. She felt like an abused. When she developed behavioral problems, she's a very conscientious child. She's a very sincere child. Like though she is lying, her mother's telling, my daughter is not telling me the truth. She's lying. She started lying. But what is the reason behind she's lying? The reason is just one, that if my mother knows that I have done a mistake, my mother will get hurt. I don't want her to get hurt. So she tries to hide things, not because she is non-conscientious, because she's so conscientious and she's so worried what my mother will go through after seeing my mistake. So again, you know what, I just want to tell, whatever the patient does, just try to know intention behind his act. The intention behind the act is the remedy. Fear of solitude and sadness. So this was the repertory chart, and these were the differential remedies. We had Staphysagra, Lycopodium, Straminium, arsenic, Natrimul, Venalia, Naxwamica, platinum. Now, I had observed one more thing. I just put that rubric for you now, and that confirmed the remedy. I was sure which remedy I want. Of all the remedies, which remedy is violent, which remedy is scared, which remedy is very precautious, very alert, very conscientious, right? And one last symptom which I put of an observation was speech, shrill in her voice, and also her speech was very, I'll show you her video, how seriously she's talking as a girl child, you know. Her talks were so serious like an adult. And her voice had a very shrill tone, very penetrating tone. That confirmed me the remedy which I gave was As again Hahnemann says, not only just the cause we have to look into, we have to also look into the disposition. What child became. It is not necessarily what she was, but what she became is a remedy. Remedy given was stramonium 201 dose. Okay. And look at her. This is a follow-up after 6 months.
What is your name? Shaniksha. How are you feeling, Shaniksha?
Fine.
What you're fine? Yeah.
Fine means little change in my behavior.
What change you find in her?
Mama, in her, no? Actually, before she used to, get stuck with the things like at emotional level, she was very, very. If someone is saying something, then she will keep repeating it in her mind. Then depressed.
What is your name?
Shaniksha.
How are you feeling, Shaniksha?
Fine.
What you're fine? Yeah.
Fine means little change.
I think the whole video
What
has
is
not come. So the remedy given was stramonium. Now to understand stramonium, I'll just tell you one thing. Stramonium has two aspects. You know, every case of a stramonium will have two aspects. A lot of fear and a lot of violence. Because of fear, they are violent. That is stramonium. In short, I can tell. Fear, 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 fear. Her father died, fear. What about future? Fear. She is very precautious. Look at her facial expressions. Fear. Right? When you're scared, your eyes become starey. Though she will not talk, but her eyes are talking. Huh? How scared she is from inside. She's in a state of shock. Her situation is in a state of shock, in a state of alertness. That is stramonium. So, so skip. So stramonium. I'll just
What is your name?
cover up stramonium in short. Stramonium basically are children who are very lovable, happy-go-lucky. They like playing. They are very vivacious. Not always you will get a stramonium child who is scared. Okay, there's another picture. They are very lively, jovial, happy-go-lucky. They like dancing. They like music. They like enjoying life, but they always need a support back of the mind. They are very insecure people. The moment they lose support, the moment they lose that security, these children become scared because they want always to hold on something. They can hold on something and they can be bindas, but without holding on something, they cannot be bindas. So they want something to hold on and they will search something to hold on. Just imagine yourself, you're in a dark place and you're just trying to search something in dark. What you will do in dark? Your eyes will open up, right? You are just trying to hold. I want to hold. I want to hold, and you will just hold on something, and you will not leave that thing. You will cling to it. This is what stramonium happens. They will cling to whatever gets near them. They are so scared from inside. They can cling to anything for that security or support. They can cling to God, so they become very religious. They can cling to a book, which is a very inspirational book, which is helping them to come out of the dark times. They can cling to a what do you call, to their spouse. They can cling to furniture. Maybe they can cling to anything because that thing gives them a security. That thing gives them a support. And at the same time, they become very violent. They can become very angry. They become very defensive. This is a one picture of stramonium I have shared with you. There are many different aspects, but this is one of the aspects according to this case. So the same thing happened in this case. She was very happy-go-lucky, jovial child. She used to enjoy life, dancing, music. The moment her father died, her mother became busy. She became scared. Scared of her future, scared what will happen now, scared if anything happened to mom, then who will take care of things. She must have seen dead body of her child at that delicate age that even might have given her a state of fright or shock, right? And then she became very violent, she became very angry. Her whole anger was on those boys who were teasing her. So violence is an is the instinctive response to fear. Not always violence is because of anger. Sometimes it is because of fear. And whenever violence is because of fear, think of stamina. Okay, so we'll discuss some rubrics. What is the time? I'll just check. Oh, we just have 10-15 minutes left. So we'll just talk about some rubrics. Like this rubric is admonition aggravation. So when do we have to think this rubric in children? Admonition is whenever you see a mother tells you that whenever I tell my child any instructions, I give it to my child. Like for example, my child is studying and I give my instructions like, beta, after studying, keep your books properly, keep it on place. My child gets very angry. So remedies like carcinosin and medorinum, and there are few other remedies like belladonna platina, they cannot tolerate suggestions. Now, why carcinosin cannot tolerate suggestion is because she is perfect. She tries to be perfect because she's sensitive to criticism. She's sensitive to reprimands. So that makes what do you call carcinosin child aggravated with admonition because she's giving 100% and she's sensitive if anyone criticizes her. Medorinum is a person who doesn't like to be bonded. They want freedom. And whenever they have been instructed, like you do this, you do that, they know somewhere their freedom is restricted. That is why they are aggravated after admonition. Affectation in children. So affectation is again a way a child sometimes talks in a very different accent, or behaves in a very different accent, which is not a usual one. So you have to think about the rubric affectation in children. Ailments after punishment. Again, many children you'll see like once the parents will tell like, I punished my child, the next day she felt sick. So carcinosin and natromyr, because natromyr is a very emotional child. And whenever she's punished from a near dear ones, she feels bad. And because of me, my father is hurt, my mother is hurt, she feels bad. She knows she's done something wrong, so she's punished. She's okay with that. But the feeling that because of me they are hurt makes her sick. So ailments from punishment. Child vomits milk. Yeah, this is a very good rubric. Child vomits milk from anger of mother. So I had a case where the child was constantly vomiting, So we gave one remedy, another, nothing helped. So one thing came prominently in that case was the mother was going through a very aggressive phase in her life, and whenever she was feeding the child, she was getting a lot of angry. She was shouting at her elder daughter, why don't you listen to me, try to understand, I'm feeding the child, blah blah blah, and the child used to vomit. The remedy is valeriana. Valeriana is a very good remedy. We can talk about it someday. Anxiety, midnight on waking, China. Audacity, that's a very important topic. Audacity is in children. If they have the dare to speak what is right and wrong is audacity. Desire to be carried, pulsatilla. Wandering, again wandering is a rubric where they are just moving ahead but they don't know where they're going. Many times tuberculin children, when they come to my clinic, I just observe them, the way they walk, they're just coming. They'll just look around in the clinic, go from one room to another room, go near my receptionist, they'll come to me. They're just wandering. Because they like to travel now. That is why they're wandering. They're searching for something different. Lactuses is wandering is because they are looking for if there is any danger. Right? Evading look for an eye. This is again a very good observatory rubric. Whenever you see you're talking to the child and the child is looking down and not giving you the answer, or it's looking down and replying you and not having a very good eye-to-eye contact, to think of the rubric evading look of the eye. Abrupt and harsh ruling. So basilinum is one of the remedy. When you see children are very abrupt and harsh, they are like nakswamikas. Think of remedy basilinum. Obviously, you have to match other things also. This is not the only thing on which you have to give, but these are entry points. So Dr. Deepu, I think we are out of time. So should we wind it up? It's 3:50 now.
Yes. No problem, ma'am. I think people have some doubts. We can take five more minutes. Okay.
Yeah, we can take 5 more minutes. Okay, so
can you see the chat box, ma'am?
Yeah, I can see. So shall we go with the doubts?
Yeah, sure.
One second. I'll just wind up.
Whether you have to complete more, if you're having something to complete, then complete it. Okay, no problem.
So we have just, I have few slides left, maybe 5, 6 slides. We'll complete that. I'll go very
Okay,
fast.
you can complete that, ma'am. You can
I'll
complete
go
that. Okay.
fast. So Natrum child. So to understand Natrum in short, uh, whenever you see a child who's very responsible, taking care of the household chores at a very delicate age, with a lot of responsibility. If someone is very sick in the house and the child goes and asks the child, the person who's sick again and again, you're okay, you're fine. Think of the remedy Natrum because Natrum has um, a lot of love. They value relations a lot, and along with that they have a lot of maternal instinct inborn. So whenever you see those maternal instinct in a child, think of Natrum, very sympathetic towards animals, will keep on questioning about animals, suffering of people. These are Natrum children, very well behaved, well dressed. Okay, they need a lot of affection but they will never show that. Same as Carcinosin, but in Carcinosin you'll have um, combination of beauty with perfection. These children are very graceful, very beautiful, and there's perfection. Like when you see a carcinosin child, you'll see the child as nature has made him so perfect, and his attitude towards life is very perfect. They are very ambitious, they are very emotional, they are very sensitive, they are not egoistic children, they like nature, they like chocolates, right? And they are very adjusting children, very adjusting, very precocious children, take responsibilities of themselves on their own. Okay. On the other hand, we have Ratram. They're also very precocious children, but their precocity is more intellectual. They will talk like an adult. They'll talk on politics. They'll talk like an adult. They'll behave like an adult. They'll order to you like an adult. Whenever they're in a group, they want to dominate. They're very quick-minded and jesting with a lot of sarcasm. Ophelia, we spoke about. I'll not go much, but just remember competition, jealousy, outgoing, very possessive, very passionate, very quick minded children, but very cautious. Think of. So, this is with which I would like to end my today's talk. And we can be connected. See, I'm on YouTube. You can be with me on Facebook. I'm there. This is my email address. And this is now I would like to conclude my today's talk. Okay. So Dr. Deepu, I'm done.
Yeah. Okay. Some people are asking regarding the books to refer in the cases of pediatrics and this which repertory and all.
See, I to use Radar Trust repertory, and pediatric cases or pediatric children, you can learn through rubrics through your repertory. Just go through, learn the rubrics, understand it. Your stalwarts ka books like Kent is very useful. Farrington is very useful for children's. Boric in many children. There are so many books. You just have to understand. See, prescribing on adult and pediatrics is not different. It is somewhat the same, but you have to. Why pediatrics is little difficult because you have to understand the child. So to be a very good prescriber for pediatric, you have to understand the child. That's what the art you have to develop, and repertory is very useful.
Okay. I think the which repetitive phosphorus child difference between responsibility of Tarantula and Kali.
Tarantula is not at all a responsible person. You cannot say he is a responsible child. Kali is not a responsible, but Kali is a very duty-oriented person. Kali patient will be Kali children. Whatever I have seen in my clinic are really very health conscious. Like the moment they are sick, they want to go to the doctor, but they will not like to change the doctor. They want to go to the same doctor where they feel the trust they have developed. Okay, they're very conscientious. They will keep their books properly. They will be very duty oriented. To an extent, I know some of the Kali children who ask their mothers to get up in the morning. Mama, get up, I have to go to school. Or Mama, sleep, tomorrow morning is my school. This is Kali. They want system. They want discipline. Right? And there is one more very important thing about Kalis. They are very easily, you can tickle them. The moment you go and examine the child, you start examining, they start laughing. So ticklishness is a very strong confirmatory symptom for Kali.
Okay. Uh, how to differentiate perfectionism of carcinosin and aurum?
Perfectionism of carcinosin and aurum. So as I said, um, see, so carcinosin का जो perfection है, it is more towards art. It's more with her perfection has more art. Her perfection has more beauty. Okay, and they are more graceful. But aurum are more systematic. They are not artistic. They both are perfect, but aurum has more systematicness in his work, and carcinosin has more artistic touch to her work. That's a major difference between both of them.
Somebody is asking regarding this dull camera domination.
Dull camera is a very dominating child. They're very possessive children. They are so dominating that the people who are around the dull camera patient, like dull camera's sister, mother, they want them to obey her commands. They're very possessive. And other side also, they are too caring for them. They will go out of their way to help them. They will go out of the way to help her mother, to her sister, but they want them to follow what they say. That is the domination of dull camera. I have one video on YouTube, just go through that. I've explained dull camera beautifully on that.
There is a case suggestion. Doctor, child who is anxious about time always and will keep torch under pillow and check frequently the clock, that he won't be late to wake up. If a little late, he is anxious that he can't finish up things in time before going to school.
So you need a remedy which is very anticipatory. Now you can think of remedy like Argentum here. Because I'm not giving a direct time, I'm just directing you. It can be any other child, because just with this symptom, I cannot say what remedy it is. But this is the anticipation of Argentum. They do not want to be late. They want always be on time. And they have that impulsiveness. They'll get up, they'll watch the time. Okay, I have to get up because I don't want to be late. Because they cannot handle sudden change in the routine. They want to go very good. So what is the content behind their act is important. Anticipation, think of Argentum. Fastidiousness, think of arsenic. Very much disciplined, think of Kali. But Kalis will not get up in the morning and check time. Arsenic mostly will not take. Argentum will do it more. Argentum and gelsemiums.
And some people are asking regarding how you administer the medicine, the potency and the dosage for children. Any criteria?
If the child is weaning, in 6 months and above, I just give 1 drop, 200 potency on their tongue. I don't give it in globules. And the rest of the medicine, if the child is not breastfeeding, is exclusively breastfeeding before 6 months, I give it to the mother. I give the potency and dose to the mother. Even Sacleca repetition I give to the mother. But when the child is on post weaning, 6 months ke forward, I just put 1 drop liquid on to the child. And next thing I do is I give just once a dose, 2 pills I ask the mother to give, mixed with the milk or something like that. I don't give alcohol in that. I just give plain globules.
Okay. Difference between sulfur child and lactose child.
Sulfur and lactose child, huh?
I don't know what difference she asked. I don't know.
There's a lot of difference. They both are extrovert. They both are lively, but you don't. Lactose is more. Both are passionate, but sulfur is not a very revengeful person. Sulfur does things for himself. He will not do things to impress others. He will not do things out of competition. But lactose will do things out of competition. They'll do things out of to impress other people. That's the basic difference between them. Sulfur has great thirst for knowledge. Lactasis doesn't have that thirst for knowledge.
Okay. So I think we can wind up the session. There
Yeah.
are questions are keep coming. You can contact Dr. Shelley his Facebook and all like that. So I think we can conclude it. Is it okay, ma'am?
Yeah, it is okay. I hope everyone liked the topic today.
Yeah, yeah. It was around. It was a very nice session. I think we have more than 320 people.
Oh, wow.
On behalf of IHMA Kerala, I am expressing my sincere gratitude to you. And we expecting, actually it was an accidental session. I just talked to you and you just agreed for a great session for us, and just very whatever you have taken is very clear and precise, and the rubrics every part were covered. I hope we can do more sessions with you.
Yeah, definitely. I would love to.
Okay, so and thank you for all doctors who are joined for this session, and we have another session on night and on infertility. So kindly join for that too. So thank you, ma'am, once again.
Welcome, welcome so much. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye.